shall it be. But don't stop at that. Tell what God has done. Psalms 1:18-17 says, I shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord, because receiving the bad news of illness such as cancer can be devastating. As believers, we come to believe that God has a purpose in our affliction, but that's not the first things that comes to your mind when dealing with something that can become terminal. Especially with myself being diagnosed with stage 3, then stage 4 breast cancer. I denied it. I tried to bargain with God, got depressed, accepted it, and tried to isolate myself. I felt so lost. When I first noticed the lump in my breast in 2010, I denied that something was wrong with me. After I fell, after I fell from slipping on ice and hitting the concrete with my chest first, the nurse that I seen at the ER just said to me, it's just an internal bruise, even after I informed her about my family history. She gave me some pain pills and said it would go away. Always listen to your body signs of change from pain, and by taking pain pills and it doesn't go away, always listen to your body signs. Minor sharp pains, unknown tenderness, skin color change in areas giving you pain, tenderness in areas giving you pain, discharge from nipple, and an increase in size of the lump. And always know your family history. Because I allowed it to linger until 2011. No longer could I ignore the pain because it became unmanageable. Because at that time I was taking pills like they were Tic Tacs. They say you're not supposed to exceed 8 pills within 24 hours. I was taking 12, maybe 14 pills within a day. During this time, the lump that I had increased 2 times the size. During that time, my body functions began to change. One day, my whole left side, where the lump was, the whole left side shut down. I couldn't manage the taking pills, it wouldn't go away. So I ended up having to drive myself with one arm, praying all the way there. At that time, the doctor did all the testing that they did, and with the x-ray they saw what they believed to be cancer. I received treatment for as far as they could take me, because during that time, since I wasn't getting sick other than a minor cold, I dropped my insurance. Then I became informed about a few services, but due to my age, they couldn't help me. So I got further information from a department called the Bridge Breast Network, where they paid for the beginning cost of a mammogram and biopsy and got me Medicaid and for cervical and breast cancer to pay for the rest of the cost, because due to the stage that I was, my treatment could exceed their budget. While waiting on the insurance process, my lump increased in size by me causing it, because I began to stress out on how I was going to make it. So I overworked myself. The tumor began to grow until it bursted underneath my breast while riding on the bus going home from work. I was like, man, this is gonna set me back. If I go to the hospital, it's not gonna go so good. Plus, my Medicaid hadn't started yet. But I had to go to Baylor Hospital, and I was then, after a round of testing, finding out that it spread. I had a praying father who called on all the elders, standing in the gap for me, creating a wall of prayer around me, where in 5:14-16 explains. Because at that time, my faith was so low that I felt so defeated. I had to ask, why? Why now? Why? In John 19:1-3, it gives you explanation of why. Because if you have to go through something such as an illness, if you never experience a sickness, how could you say that God was a healer? If you never experience not having any money, how can you say that He's a provider?
All right.
In this portion, after when it burst, this was where my journey truly became. I see now He had to prove some things to me and others. Because once again, how could He say He was a healer if you've never been sick? That time I had to go to a wound doctor because the tumor from the inside, from when it burst, it was 1.5 inch deep inside and 1 inch wide. So during the treatment, I was told my wound would not heal in time for me to start chemo in a month. It hindered everything else due by having this wound because it wouldn't heal. This wound healed within 3 weeks. During that time, even the doctor had to say there was nothing but God. Because even with all the packing of my wound, they didn't believe that it could have healed so quickly. And needless to say, I started chemo on time. I had my family with me all the way during this process, being a positive circle for me. Even when I couldn't do it myself, which I you have to have a solid foundation to succeed in anything. Anything negative, remove it. Because with quotes that I now come to grow to understand that God won't give you anything that you can't handle. So, and during the way, you have to push your way through your situation by pray until something happens. When you've done everything you can do, that's when God will step in and do what you can't do. You can find that in 2 Corinthians 12:10. Let go and let God. A temporary setback is a setup for a major comeback.
All right.
No matter how you feel, get up, get dressed, show up, and never give up. When life is good, pray. When life is bad, pray harder. When you look to the Bible for inspiration, when you know someone or when you know others are suffering, I pray these Bible verses will inspire you as you wait on the Lord for peace, courage, and comfort and deliverance.
Amen. Amen.
When receiving news that you have a terminal illness, such as cancer or any other affliction, you can look to the Bible for inspiration when we know someone who is suffering or we ourselves have been diagnosed. I pray these Bible verses will inspire you as you wait on the Lord for peace, comfort, and deliverance. God is big in comfort and rest for the restless. Look to Deuteronomy 31:6. Also look at Psalms chapter 38, verse 3. Proverbs 3:5-6. Matthews 11:28, verses 28-29. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. God is faithful, come for the anxious. Read Psalms 18, verse 6. Psalms 33, verse 20-22. Philippians 1, verse 6. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6-7. 1 Peter 5:6-7. God is trustworthy. He has a plan for you. You will find in Jeremiah 29, verse 11. John 14, verse 1-3. God is hope, even when it seems hopeless. Romans chapter 8, verse 16-17. Romans 8, 24 through 25, and Romans 8, 30 verse 38 through 39, and 1 Peter 1 and 3. So when you silently gasp to yourself, why me? Why not you? Because God has to choose certain people to go through certain things in order for you to understand that He is real, that He is there, that He's going to always be there even when your father or your mother is not there for you. Some things you have to realize and go through in order to increase your faith, because you have faith in that person, and that person goes to God for you. But sometimes that person can't go to God for you. You have to go now to God for yourself to understand that He is always there when you're alone, when you're sick, when you're going through, whenever you have a problem. Even though you can call on your family in the midnight hour, sometimes you're sitting there alone and you don't feel like you want to call anyone. You want to go through it on your own. And that's when God is there to comfort you and talk to you and let you know that He will always be there whenever you need Him.
Amen.